Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. With me, as always, my friend Jim Stam. I'm going to bypass all of our normal BS banter stuff and jump right to the feature here.
Don't even talk. Let's just roll. Let's go, baby.
Yep. Tonight we have Pittsburgh Pirates first round selection in the 2024 draft and 9th overall pick, Konnor Griffin, and his father, Kevin, too. Gracious enough to join us as well. Hello, guys.
How you doing? I appreciate you having us on.
Awesome to have you on, man. It's really going to be a good time. Looking forward to talking ball with you.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this, Konnor, right off the bat, right? Do you get tired of hearing that, right? Pirates first round selection, number 9 overall. Is it getting tiresome yet, or does it still sound pretty darn good at this point?
It still sounds pretty good. I don't think it'll, I don't think I'll get tired of it because it's definitely a big accomplishment for me.
Absolutely.
I mean, so you're a couple months from turning 19, and you had to work your tail off to reclassify to be in the last draft, right? So
yeah, I do.
What went into that decision for you?
Yeah, so it really at the time I was reclassing to be younger, stepping on a college campus. Like that was a goal. I was able to take my official visits earlier, which ended up leading to an LSU commitment. But that was the goal, and then it ended up being really good for the draft as well. Being a younger high school player, something about taking an 18-year-old over a 19-year-old there's some big difference there. I don't really understand it myself, but that scouts say that. So, he
doesn't know that he'll be old when he's 23 yet. That's the problem.
Yeah, but no, it was really just to get out of high school a year early, and then wherever that meant that I land, keep working, and I was just looking towards the future to see what would happen.
Konnor, let me ask you this: did the Pirates give you any indication that you were kind of high on their list? Was it a surprise? Tell me that process and how that day even played out for you, just in general, because I think, for us, we don't know who they're going to take, but maybe you guys had an indication, or did you not know?
Well, we ended up having a Zoom meeting with the whole front office the day before the draft. So I knew I was pretty high on their list, but you never know for sure with the draft. I didn't know if I would be taken before, or what could have happened. But around pick 7 or 8, we got news that the Pirates were pretty interested, and my agent and the front office went at it back and forth, and it ended up working out where they wanted to select me. So that was it all happened pretty quick. But I knew I was up there. I had a really good relationship with Darren Mezerowski, the area scout here in Mississippi, or my area, and I knew they liked me, but I didn't know for sure if they were going to take me. So it was a surprise until they said they wanted me at pick 9.
Mezerowski is some legendary nepotism from our Pittsburgh Pirates there, right? Bill Mezerowski's blood right down there, making relationships. Love it. So, Kevin, this is for you. You coach.
Yeah, okay. I was going there too. So go ahead, Gary.
You coach softball and you work with Konnor, and Caden's coming along too, by the way, it looks like. So maybe a couple of years you can play with your brother like some other people have, right?
Right.
I wanted to ask you, what's it like almost handing him off to new coaches? How do you kind of separate yourself from that? And I don't know, not intrude, but at the same time, him better than anybody. You've watched him progress, right?
Right. Yeah. I have to put a lot of faith in the things that we've done over the years to get him to this point. He's in a really good spot right now. And I think the guys that are going to be working with him as far as hitting and that sort of thing, they're not dumb. They can look and see that he's doing something that's put him in a really good place right now and made a lot of improvements and a lot of great strides, even over the last 6 months since the draft. His swing's different, his stance is different. He's put in a lot of work with that. And I think those guys are going to be smart enough to see the work he's put in, and they'll leave him alone and let him see if it'll go well for him early on. And if they need to make some tweaks, they'll do it. But, that's not my role now. My role is to be a supporter, and we'll still have conversations and Zoom with each other and probably talk hitting. But, certainly I will never try to go over their heads and try to do anything that they don't want him to do. But he's in a really good place right now, and I think they'll see that.
Until you slump, kid, then call it that. That always fixes it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll be more of an encourager. I'll be an encourager.
Dad's a great resource when things aren't going well. That's for sure, because he does know your swing better than anybody.
That's right.
But let's talk about the swing just real quick, and we'll get into the weeds a little bit more. But Konnor, it's tough, right? Because you do learn a swing and you're used to a swing, right? So like, to change things it's a big leap of faith, and it can seem weird, right? Because you kind of know one thing. Yeah. Have you had are they big changes? Are they things that you've had trouble adjusting to, or how has that worked out for you so far with that process?
Yeah, there's definitely been changes, but in my mind, I try to keep it like I'm making simple changes. I've always been like a big aggressive hitter where I try to go attack out front. And a lot of times, like through high school, I was out on my front foot just because I could get away with it with, high school pitching. But I know pro ball, the velo is going to be up. And so I had to figure out how to be, balanced and have more weight on my backside. So that we've really been working hard on that, trying to control my feet. I'm a tall guy, long arms, and now I'm just trying to figure out how to be, short to the ball, because that's going to have to be something that I do. And because a lot of times in high school, I'd be super long with the front arm, kind of like arm bar. And so now I'm just trying to figure out how to keep this arm not as straight, keep it bent pretty tight and then go. So there's been simple things that I've been working on, and I don't try to overcomplicate things, but there's definitely changes that I've made. And what the good thing about the Pirates hitting coordinators, they've really allowed me to learn, like especially during the complex games, they would let me, do my thing. And if I see something, we would go sit down, talk through video, and they would give me pointers. And like it's all been really good so far, through the last summer. And I know it'll continue to be great through this spring training coming up into the season.
Awesome stuff, Jim. I got to be unpopular and take a break, brother.
No, I forbid it. This is too good.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Konnor Griffin and his dad Kevin with Jim and I, and we're just peppering the kid with questions. That's what we're doing. We're getting him used to what's going to happen up here in good old Pittsburgh.
Listen, some of it's fastball, some of it's off speed. He's learning to adjust right here on the podcast. So
right.
So 5-tool guy, I'm sure you've heard that a billion times now, right? So as you do things like add mass or change what position you play or do different things that change who you are, how do you balance that? Is it a decision sometimes to drop one of those tools, if you will, a little bit in order to increase another, or do you try to constantly balance all 5 plates?
I try to balance all 5. I'm working on my speed in the cage. I'm working on my hit tool, also, working on power, but power is going to go back to the weight room, you know. So when I'm working hard in the weight room, that's going to help the power increase. And then my defense work, I'm, you know, working on outfield and infield. I think I'm going to be more of a shortstop starting out. That seems like that's the plan right now. But, you know, continuing to be an outfielder too. Like I love playing the outfield, and I'll be ready to help out there if I need to. And then always working on keeping your arm strength. So I'm really trying to hit all of them. But the main thing, my mentality is just to be an athlete, you know, just go out there and trust your skills. And it's pretty cool to see all 5 tools be used in the game of baseball. So it's fun to work on each one, and you know, it's fun to see it play out during the season. Now,
let me ask you, Kevin, where does this athleticism come from? Because is it dad? Is it mom? Is this God? Is this just God blessing the Griffin family? Where does that come from? Because typically it comes from somebody.
Well, I think, you know, I played a lot of sports growing up, and my wife played basketball and volleyball. I think we've got an athletic family. Her parents were athletes. My parents were athletes. So it's always kind of been an athletic mindset on both sides of the family. But, you know, I wasn't even close to being as physically gifted and as talented as he is. So that's definitely a God-given trait. And we're blessed in that regard, because God's really blessed him with the opportunity to play this game at a high level and be able to kind of use that platform in that regard as well. So definitely God-given, but we've had some athletic ability in our family, I believe, on both sides.
And you got to have a love for the game, right, Konnor? Like, you know, like Gary and I love this game, but like we don't have the physical capabilities that someone like you do. But and that has to be there, right? Like you're the passion. Tell us about that with you. Like, when did that start? And when did you think, like, you know what, I might have a chance to play professionally someday? Like, when did that start?
Yeah, so I mean, I think every baseball player's dream to be in the big league starts at, you know, when you're 6 or 7 watching your favorite team on the TV. So I would say it started pretty young, but as I got older, my goal was to, you know, play D1 baseball. So that was the first goal. And once I got offers, I was, you know, pretty excited about that. But then my name got thrown around in some mock drafts and stuff like that. And so I was like, I might have a chance to, you know, get drafted out of high school and start my pro career early. So I think it just, you know, when I saw my name mentioned, like in the mock drafts, I was like, this could really take off, and I could do something great out of high school. And I think just, you know, the passion to play this game, like there's so much failure in the game of baseball. Like I love overcoming adversity. And I just love the feeling of that, because it happens so much during this game. And, you know, I've been through some myself, and I think you're lying if a baseball player says they haven't, because it's going to happen at some point. But I think that's what keeps me going every day. And I know it's fun for fans to watch us play. I know, especially for 140, 160 games a year, like it's fun to watch that. But as a player, I mean, you really got to take care of your body through this whole process. And people don't see a lot of the behind the scenes of, you know, us athletes. And, you know, we pour a lot into this game, and you know, basically pour your whole life into it. So, but it's just cool. It's what I love to do, and hope I can do it for a lot of years to come.
I think somebody told me a story once about Sidney Crosby, the hockey player. I don't know if you're a hockey fan from where you're at, but he eats one piece of pizza every year in the middle of the off season. And then I think like it's adversity when it snows outside and I can't call DoorDash. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I get it. Let's do a listener question here. Pirate Queen wants to know, what are you looking to learn and take away from spring training?
So I'm kind of announcing this here on this podcast, but I actually got invited to big league spring training. So I got the call.
Oh, hell yeah.
Awesome.
A few days.
Awesome,
ago.
dude.
So I'm super excited about that. And I think I'm ready to learn from the big league guys right now, and take away from their routines, how they go about themselves during the day. And even when they're, off the field, who they are in the clubhouse, like how to be a leader. You got a lot of great knowledge in the clubhouse of the Pirates right now. So it'll be nice to take that in and kind of be a sponge and learn from those guys.
Oh man, the autograph line for you is going to be redonkulous. I'm just saying,
yeah,
you don't
dude.
even know what they're going to make you do yet. But you are going to be standing along this fence line.
Yep.
100 degrees piling down on you after you've been out there playing 6 innings against some young bucks from the Orioles.
That's
You're
right.
going to be standing there signing 400 autographs. You're going to love it.
And I'll sign every single one of them because I remember being that little kid wanting players.
Yeah, dude, that's the best right there. I think, like, have you ever, Konnor, in your downtime, in your wildest daydreams, ever thought about, man, I wonder what it would be like to face a Paul Skeens, right? Like, have you ever thought about that and what that would be like in even like a spring training setting? Not that you're going to get to do it, but your mind ever wanders there?
Oh yeah, it does for sure. Paul actually was one of the first Pirates to reach out to me after the draft, which I thought that was super cool. Being an LSU commit, seeing Paul do what he did there, and then, or not LSU commit, like a LSU legend, seeing what he did there.
Well, he had to commit, but yeah, he
right.
turned it into something else.
Right, for sure. And then seeing him move on to the pros and do what he does, so at such a young age, like it would be really cool to face him, just to say I did it. But I think it's even cooler having him as a teammate, and hopefully
I can almost guarantee you're going to, because you're going to be a sacrificial lamb for a lot of guys with a lot of sick stuff.
Yeah.
So, I can't wait. I can't wait to be watching it on the side fields for real.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So let's follow up on the Paul Skeens thing. I mean, you're the first round selection the year after Paul Skeens did something freakish, barely played in the minor leagues. Does that add pressure, or is that inspiration that your timeline really is in your hands?
I think it's my timeline's really in my hands. Paul was big league ready at LSU, and I think everybody knows that. And I think it's completely different with a high school guy. I know that I've never faced a pro pitcher before, and I'm going into a season. Hopefully everything goes well. I have success, but I think there's going to be a lot of learning to be had throughout the first few years of pro ball, and then hopefully in a few years I'm able to carve my way to the big leagues pretty quick. But I know that it may take time, especially being 18 years old, and but at the end of the day, like, my goal is to get there as quick as I can, and if it's in a year and a half, 2 years, like, I'm not going to be complaining. So
go ahead and Juan Soto it, man.
Yeah.
For real, we'll be fine with it.
That's right.
Tell you mentioned a little bit about being 18 prep school player, right, coming out of the draft. Tell me, I look back, Konnor, and Kevin, you can relate to this too, being 18 years old, right? And just, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with the pressure? Do you see it as pressure? Even when I think about things like, you've grown up in like the social media era, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you just not pay attention to that? All your friends are. Like, how do you like, Kevin, how old are you?
I'm 51.
Okay, great. Perfect. I'm 49. I think Gary's 40. Gary, what
47.
are you? 47. So we're in that same boat. We're like, we can put it away. We don't have to have it. We don't need it. It's a different thing now for younger kids. Like, Konnor, how do you deal with that? Do you just ignore it? Do you peek in every once in a while?
Yeah. I think that I'd be lying if I said I didn't. Social media is all around now these days. But, the biggest thing with me, I try to use my platform as a way to like inspire others and make an impact. So I try to look at it as a positive thing from my side. But it was pretty tough. Like during the whole draft process, I got caught up in checking all the mock drafts that were coming out. Like looking at all that stuff would kind of mess with me mentally. Cause if I had a bad high school game, I was
Sure.
checking to see if my name moved. So I had to learn to, put that stuff away and, just trust the skills that I've, been building my whole life. And once I was able to do that, then, I was playing freely and, just being myself. So there has been times where I had to, put it away and move on and stuff like that. So I think everybody's really been through that, but that's kind of my personal experience with it. Cause there's a lot of people out there that want to see you fail. And if you start reading into all that stuff online, then you're going to start believing it yourself. So
it's a game of failure on top of people wanting to see you fail, right?
Yeah. For the most part, though, only failures want others to fail. So, I mean, that's I kind of never care when somebody is rooting for my failure because they tend to have already proven themselves to be that. So let's talk a little baseball from the Pirates' perspective. They get a brand new toy, you. What do they do with you right away? I mean, like some people they send and they have them play in some minor league games. Those are usually college kids. High school kids, you tend to get a off season to kind of do some things they've directed you to do. Any big asks from them for you or the focuses they wanted you to work on?
I mean, not too much at all, really. After I got drafted, I played in about 8 complex league games. They really just said to, hop in the games and, just play like you always do. And let's see what happens. So that was kind of like my trial just to see where I stand in pro ball and stuff like that. So the biggest thing going into the off season is one with like hitting, just like control my intent. Like when I'm training, keep it at like 60%. Cause I like to compete every swing, I want to give it my all, but in a training session, they said to control it because in a game, you're automatically going to be, 100% adrenaline's going and stuff like that. But, that's one thing to work on is intent. And they also just said, keep working at shortstop. I think outfield comes natural to me, but, being a taller guy, I got a lot to really watch when I'm doing my infield work. Got to get my feet on the same page with my upper body, and so that's going to take more work than the outfield drill. So just continuing to go with my shortstop work and just keeping my intent low is really the two things that they really wanted me to work on.
Kevin, how do you think you're going to handle watching Konnor as he goes through the process of, developing in the minors? And like what I have found out, my son's only 8 years old, but what I have found out is it's been far harder to watch him playing at this point than it ever was for me to play. I never felt as much anxiety as I do when I watch him, whether it's baseball or ice hockey or basketball or whatever. How are you going to deal with that? How is it stressing you out, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I feel like I know as a parent that he's going to put 100% effort into 100% of the reps that he gets, whether it's in a practice setting or in a game setting. I don't worry about him with his effort, his preparation, and I think all that'll take care of itself. It's a game of failure, right? So a lot of guys that only get hits 3 out of 10 times are in the Hall of Fame. And I know that's cliche to say because everybody talks about that, but he is going to put the work in. And I take a lot of pride in just sitting back and watching him work. And that's going to be my biggest thing, is just enjoying the moment. Coaching college softball, a lot of times I'm going to be riding on a bus with 25 of my players, and we're going to be tuned in watching his games. And
See, like your job every day is to silence
Yeah.
the heartbeats of 26 people, right? So
that's right.
as a coach, so of course you've got to chill, tone yourself, right?
That's right. And so dealing with that, I think, has helped me learn to just sit back and enjoy watching him play, because it's been fun to be right here with him, but it's going to be even more fun to just see him do his thing and carve a new path for himself.
I'm excited to hear to watch it, because the games are now almost televised nightly in minor league baseball, which is kind of another new development that wasn't there before. I wanted to ask you, you're a tall kid. You probably could have played other sports. You probably did play other sports. What made you choose baseball? Because it really is one of the hardest paths to the pros. And perhaps that's what you wanted. You said you liked the challenge, right?
Right.
Other kids are choosing basketball or football because it's a quicker payday. It's, arguably more upfront. Baseball, you have to be the 1% to get the payday. What made you choose it?
Yeah, so I played all three sports here in Mississippi: football, basketball, and baseball. And
from what I hear, Konnor, quite good. You could hold your own on a basketball court, from what I hear.
I could. I enjoyed it, but I just chose baseball, man, because I fell in love with it. I fell in love with getting on the field and just putting in the work. I mean, I grew up at the softball field with him, and so I think ever since you got on the dirt, and I just couldn't leave it. I give a lot of credit to basketball and football, just helping me become a better athlete. But once I saw things taking off in the right direction around like 12, 13, I knew that this was my sport, and I could have a good career in baseball. So that's what I've been doing. I've been following that path and just working hard every day to get to the big leagues.
I've always said, like, baseball gets in your bones. That's how I describe it, right? Like,
right.
It just gets in your bones, and you can't walk away from it. Let me ask you this, because I saw this. I'm gonna switch it up on you just a hair. So in high school, senior season, I keep seeing this thing. And I've got two different stats. One's 87 of 88 stolen bases. One's 85 of 86. Can you confirm which one it is, first of all, before I get into the?
I think it's neither, because I got thrown out twice. I think it's 87 of 89.
87 of 89. Okay.
Yeah. Thank
you for clarifying. This kind of.
Well, they won't keep the stats much better till you're in AA. But
so basically, there's a kid out there right now sitting on the couch with his girlfriend. You're gonna come up. He's gonna go, "Yep, got him." Do you remember those two that you got caught on?
Oh, yeah.
What happened? What happened, dude?
So the first one, it was kind of early in the season. I tried to steal home. So
okay.
A pitcher is gonna remember that. I tried to steal home, and I thought I got in there, but I got rung up. And then the other one was like late in the season during like playoffs. I stole second, and the kid just hosed me. I think he's a younger player too. So
wow.
I remember just because he was the first one to throw me out, still in second. When I came up to hit, I shook his hand, and just said, "Man, what a throw!"
Yeah, hey, right. Tip your cap.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
So let's see. David has a question for you. He has a 9-year-old grandson who loves baseball. What advice would you give to a kid that age who loves to hit?
I would just say, get in the cage as much as you can. I mean, you already love it at that age, but there's going to be a lot of more hours. You got to put in the cage to get where you want to be, and that's what I had to do. And it's really working when nobody's watching is the biggest thing for me. There's going to be a lot of times where, nobody knows that you're putting in the work, but you are. And for a 9-year-old, may not understand that, but I mean, it's already a great sign that he loves to play the game, and that's the most important thing. And just continuing to have fun.
And guys, I'll add to that from a parent standpoint, just enjoy being in the cage with your kid. Don't get result oriented. Just be to the point where you have fun being in there, throwing the ball, letting them hit off the tee or whatever they do. And don't focus on the results, just the fact that they're seeing the ball and hitting the ball, and all the mechanics and all that crap that you see all over the internet and social media these days. That'll take care of itself, but just have fun being there and don't get result oriented.
Man, Kevin, there is some crazy stuff out there, isn't there? I have to tell myself that too. 8-year-old son, he loves to go in there and swing. And sometimes I have to tell myself, this is not about results. It's just about going in there and spending time. He loves the game. Hopefully the rest will follow.
Yeah.
So when did you play the outfield in Bradenton at all when you were in the FCL?
Yeah, I played 2 games.
What did you think of the wind out there?
Man, I think we had a good day when I was out there. I don't think
it was late summer when you were there then, right? Yeah. So
it was.
When you're there in spring, just so you know, we will not hold your outfield skills to what we see.
All
okay?
Right.
It's not your fault. We know.
Hey, that initial step back on that fly ball, it may not help you, buddy. It may not help you.
I once watched Jose Tabata pop a ball up to right field, and I mean pop it up, like to the point where like he just was jogging to first, slammed his bat down, he's jogging along, and then he looks up and it's clearing the fence in right field. The wind blows so hard in Bradenton, it's crazy.
Feels good as a hitter. I mean, the game gives and it takes. Konnor, you mentioned this, like you've done, you're working on outfield, preferably right now, shortstop. Sometimes guys just aren't really natural in the outfield. Like if you've played a lot of infield, where would you rate yourself in that regard? Because sometimes it's natural, but sometimes guys never really get it either. It's just you don't read the ball off the bat well. Where do you think you are with that?
I think it comes really natural. I can see it well off the bat when I'm, tracking down fly balls. The ball's not moving much. It's kind of it's smooth. And I don't know. I love chasing down fly balls. Like, it's just like when I was playing football, I was a receiver. I loved going to get it. I don't know. It's just something it's always come easy to me just because with my speed, been able to track down fly balls, and with my arm strength, I'm able to try to make some cool plays, throwing people out. And I don't know. It's just, if I feel free out there, I can run, do whatever I want.
Right. It almost is more, I want to say it's more fun, but it's a different view of the game, right? And it's a different way to affect the game.
Well, so Kevin, you probably played dive catch with him. Like I always played with my kid. You always throw it just far enough that they've kind of got to dive for it, like in the pole. We could do it with a football, any kind of ball. I used to do it all the time. I'm sure you did the same with your kids. They love like having to stretch out and dive for something because it looks just like the baseball cards or what they watch on TV. I think it's amazing when guys can do that full extension thing in center field. How do you trust that you're going to make that catch?
I mean, it goes back to what you said. You've done it since you're a little kid, and if you're running, making that play, like that's the play that you want to make. You want to hear the crowd go crazy after an amazing play, and so I think just trusting your skills and knowing that it could maybe go on Sports Center top 10, keeps it fun.
Jim, it's time for a Ben question. You owe him one, right?
I do. Ben is my son, who I mentioned many times in the podcast and before we got on here. He wants to know, Konnor, do you collect your baseball cards? Have you? Like, has dad bought one that's graded? Things like that. He wants to know what's on your playlist when you're working out. So, tell us this stuff. Come on, man.
All right. So I haven't collected a whole lot of baseball cards. I know I have some of my USA ones. I have a few of my first Bowmans just from people sending them to us, but we didn't get a box in the mail or anything like that. So I've just collected a few off of people sending them to us. And then I actually opened like a first Bowman draft like box where I, pulled packs of cards and tried to get my own. And I actually pulled like 4 of them, which was pretty cool.
How surreal is that? Seriously.
It's crazy. It really didn't hit me like when I sit here and sign the autographs for the cards, like it kind of gets, a little tedious, but when you actually pull your own card out of like a real pack, it's actually a really cool feeling, and got my heart beating looking for it. That was fun.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because you're talking about opening packs of baseball cards. You clearly love this game. You've played it. You probably grew up idolizing certain guys or still do. Who are the guys that you watch or that you loved growing up that you're just like, either just like me growing up, huge Will Clark guy. Like Connor's like, who is Will Clark? I know Kevin would know who Will Clark is. You're Mississippi boys.
Yeah.
But like, that was the guy for me, right? And like, I tried to pattern my game off him. Who do you see that reminds you of yourself? I know you've mentioned Acuna before.
Mm-hmm.
Or who are you just flat out jealous of? Like, who do you watch and you're just like, man, I wish I get there.
I would one guy that I think we're very similar would be like Bobby Witt Jr. I think
I wondered if you were going to say that.
Yeah, so I think I may be a little bit taller than him, but I just see a lot, like people compared our high school swings, and I see a lot of similarities and comparisons to Bobby. But I mean, I guess a guy I'd be jealous of is maybe like an Aaron Judge, who hitting 50 home runs for like 3 consecutive seasons. Like that's pretty ridiculous.
Crazy.
So
is there, Kevin, was there anybody that you saw in your son as he's been playing, or that you could kind of see some similarities in their games? You have more of a perspective, right? Connor's a young pup, right? He only knows the guys that he sees on TV. Was there anybody that you saw that you thought of?
Yeah, I think once everybody started looking at Konnor as a shortstop, from having played it the last 2 years in high school, Troy Tulowitzki is a guy that I always saw a lot of Troy in him, just similar build. Konnor might be a little taller, but similar stance, cannon for an arm. The ball jumps off their bats. And so I saw a lot of Tulowitzki in him. Outfield-wise, he plays like Acuna. And, of course, I'm a huge Braves fan from growing up and have followed the Braves all my life. And Ronald Acuna is one of those guys that we always talked about that was similar to the way they just both have fun playing the game. That's the biggest thing with Acuna, is I think he has fun, and Konnor has learned to play the game and have a lot of fun. A guy that was one of my favorite players, I saw the question come across at the bottom, a guy that y'all are familiar with that I watched growing up, Sid Bream. He wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, but just an incredible human being.
Yep.
And I always said that I wanted my son or my kids to play the game the right way and be kind of modeled after somebody. And
Sid moved back up to Pittsburgh.
Great example.
Sid moved back up to Pittsburgh here after he retired, and he's a really great guy for real still. I'm sure you guys could hook up when he's up here.
it's funny, full circle conversation here, Kevin, but like my freshman year in junior college, Sid Bream was friends with our coach, and he had just signed a free agent deal with Houston. So I happened to play first base. So me and Sid Bream got to work out for about 3 weeks together. And as a lefty hitter, boy, did I pick his brain against hitting off lefties. And he was a class act guy. And it was just really like, you get around guys like that, no matter what level they've played at in the game, and you just want to pick their brains constantly. But
Sid's a great guy, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned him because he couldn't have been more nice. He couldn't have been more gracious. And he helped me hit lefties a little bit. So, I got to give him some credit. But yeah, really, really good dude.
I wish he would have run a little bit faster when he scored to send the Braves to the World Series that year. I wish he could have not made that play so close.
Oh, that you have no idea. You have no idea in Pittsburgh how much that play.
I just struggled to not hate quit this whole thing. I'm just saying. So
yeah, there's some PTSD there, but
just when you get interviewed on TV when he debuts, you don't remember anything before 93. Like anything after that is great. But last question here, because we got to let Konnor go. He's got another obligation he's got to get to. Big league camp this year. Which player are you most looking to pick their brain about how they play the game?
I think I would probably say Andrew McCutchen. He's a veteran. He's been through it all. So just trying to figure out, how he goes about his ABs. And, I think they use him kind of more as a DH now, but, how he played the outfield, and just kind of talk with him, see what pointers I could get to help me get through the system quickest.
Well, hey, man, we're looking forward to you getting this journey going, man. I'll be watching most nights because I'm a junkie. So I watch the minor league games and the major league games for the most part. So I'll be on there too much watching you play and talking to Jim about how excited I am and when you should be promoted, whether they're smart enough to see it or not, and all that stuff. But thank you for making the time. And Jim, you've been working with Kevin and Konnor a lot longer than me. You go ahead and say goodbye in your own way before we go to our break, and we'll come back and wrap up the show ourselves, okay?
Yeah, sure. First of all, really appreciate it, guys. I think Konnor, everybody here is really excited to just follow you along this process. And we Pittsburgh baseball fans are intelligent fans. They understand it is a process. You fall in love with that process. I know you have already, and just keep putting in the work, buddy. I think you'll do fine. And I'm not going to really let you off the hook without telling me what's on that playlist, or Ben is not. So
All
when you're working out and it's super lonely and it's just you and you're tired and your dad hasn't played music in the car that you hate, what are you listening to?
I'm going to go with either Morgan Wallen or Riley Green. So I'm a big country guy.
All right.
So,
all right.
Hey,
thanks.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Konnor, best of luck to you, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back, everybody.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Gary and Jim, sadly, just Gary and Jim. I know, disappointing everybody.
What a letdown.
But man, what a conversation, Jim. I mean, what did you learn most? I felt like, boy, it's a kid that's got his head screwed on straight, right? I mean,
Gary, I think that's what, you read up on someone, and God knows we have before we did this. And I'm just blown away by his maturity. at 18 years old, because I think back to when I was 18 years old, and I'm a little embarrassed. It's just he's so well put together. I can't imagine being under the microscope like that. I think I read where he had 52 scouts watching him at one time. Like,
I don't even think there was 52 seats in my high school baseball field.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
maybe there might have been 100 or so. Maybe.
Yeah. So, like, it's just like you read about the maturity, the work ethic. You can just tell he comes from good stock.
We did hear about the makeup a lot, but sometimes, that's words, or those just come across in those little sound bites that you get from the team producing them. So it was nice to get to hear him in a more long form way. I mean,
right.
Before anybody has sat on the bus and given him the standard delivery of what you should say, and just you're getting him real pure right there, and I love it. So it was definitely cool. Super happy that they were willing to do that, and I'm really looking forward to him play baseball. That's something we haven't really gotten to talk about much. He is a 5-tool player. Boy, it sounded to me like he has a honest to God love affair with playing the outfield. I mean, I understand wanting him to play shortstop too, and if he can, cool. But man, doesn't it feel like he just wants to get back out to that outfield?
Yeah, it sounds like he's totally open to either. And we get very caught up in the major league side of things with O'Neal Cruz doing this, right?
Right.
And so, like, you wonder how that kind of, and it's, we could have talked for an hour longer and probably got to this, but you wonder if when you're sitting back and you're in that position, if you look at that and you're seeing how it plays out, right? Because just it's just a natural thing to let your mind wander and say, okay, well, one doesn't work out, the other one sure could. And so it was interesting to see that he's done a little bit of both and he's worked on a little bit of both.
Yeah, and I like the idea of starting him at short too, because I think that the outfield isn't even a question. So it's probably better to, before we worry about where we're going to stick him, let's see what we can do with him, right? And I like that idea. So it's interesting. It's going to be a cool season to watch him play. He's got some interesting offensive options that were drafted right alongside him that are going to be starting in low A as well. I wouldn't expect him to stay there all that long, really. I know he's a young kid, but I feel like they like doing that half season promotion with even high school kids if they warrant it. So,
yeah, and I think that's the thing that Pirates fans have to understand here is he's an 18-year-old, right? So there is a lot of room for growth, whether that's physically, mentally, whatever, game experience wise. And I would just stress patience with somebody like that, simply because the other guys that are the top picks, much more seasoned. I mean, there's a different flight path there, if you will. So I'm super excited to watch him this year. No doubt.
Yeah, I think the progression of what's going on in the minor leagues kind of starts to get lost at this point, with the frustrations at the major league level and what they are and aren't doing. I get all that, but we spent a lot of time focusing on the minor leagues to get to this point. So a lot of those guys that we were talking about 2-3 years ago are now the ones that are here and we're expecting to perform. We're probably looking at, a few years before he's here. Termar, maybe another year and a half. There's still some really good talent coming. Bubba Chandler, Ashcraft this year, Harrington. In fact, I just wrote a piece on Monday. I think I listed off like 13 guys that I think could debut this year. And you probably want a lot of them too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it still is a young system in development, right?
Yeah, and this game takes time, right? I mean, this game is unless you are a select few guys, and you're talking the Sotos and the Griffeys and those types of guys. There's a process to all of this, and I think he's got the right mentality to deal with it. So remember when we even were talking to Lastings Millage and Kutch, and he was talking about Kutch so impatient to want to, I'm ready, and he was like, just be patient, it'll be your time. And that's what the Konnor Griffins of the world have to tell themselves is be patient, put the work in, get the results. It's coming.
And that's kind of like what's interesting about even his story of how he got into this draft was he basically had to put a double class load on his back in order to reclassify for that draft. I mean, so he already is like, there's a goal. I could achieve it in two different ways. One of them's hard, one of them's not as hard, and he chose super hard. So it feels like it's a guy that's going to set his next goal at getting the high A and then his next goal at double A. And I just feel like he's going to tackle them one after the other. It's good to see. I'm excited to see him face some pitching. There's a lot of better pitching at the A level now that they've kind of thinned out how many players can be in the minor leagues. It's not quite the joke it used to be for some of these draft picks. They're actually facing some pretty stiff competition. Sometimes a 3 or 4 year ago selected international free agent, has been pitching professionally for 3-4 years by the time they get there. And that could be a real challenge for an 18 or 19-year-old to face for the first time.
Absolutely. And I think we should recap that he's going to get invited down. Spring training, right?
Broke news on here.
Yeah, so that is big, and I'm sure as much work as he's putting in the workouts, man, you just want to play some baseball, do you not? I wish we could have got to that with him, and we only had so much time. But like, I can't imagine the hours he's putting in to accomplish what he hopes to accomplish. And then the fact that Skeens reaches out to him, right? Let's, being one of the first people that reaches out to him after he's drafted, classy stuff.
Because of course he did.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like, there are times in Pittsburgh, and listen, I'm under no illusion that our owner is going to do the right thing. But there are guys that get drafted. And you just know they're different on a whole lot of different levels, and it's not just about the talent. Paul Skeens seems to be one of those guys, and like you talk about getting lucky on every level, and then again, is it luck? Because like they've had a string of like legitimately good guys they've drafted, that they really seem to be nose to the grindstone types. Like Nick Gonzalez takes the challenge of going into the offseason, comes back a different guy. Like I love the way that the makeup of the team is starting to be very quiet confidence,
Yeah, I mean, we throw around these words about like mental toughness and character and all that stuff, but like in baseball, man, it's really not cliche. You have to have extreme mental toughness. Character has to be there, and they've got guys like that. They've drafted guys like that, Gary.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those things, you're really not going to make it in this game. You're not going to. So good on I say this, it may shock people, good on the Pirates, because some of these guys, the mental makeup is there.
Let's not bury the lead, though. Konnor Griffin and his dad were the show. Let's go ahead and end it on an upswing. It was great. Thank you very much to Konnor and his father, Kevin. Appreciate the time you gave everybody here in Pittsburgh to get to know you. Hope you all liked him. Look forward to seeing him in the spring. Damage some balls into that Bradenton wind, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, let's watch it all unfold and watch it happen.
All right, out we go.
Let's go, Bucks!
Yeah, buddy.